I have one more issue I'd like to talk about. I would like to lose about 70 pounds, something like that. Been having more weight on my body than I really need, and is best for my well-being for most of my adult life. And I would like an easy, intuitive way to just eat appropriately. And I get to that point of decision at meals where I have conflicting desires. I'd like to eat appropriately and not more than I need, and there's this, big ice cream sundae or something, and that looks real good too.
Let's take a trip to India and we'll talk. Not easy to deprive yourself under these conditions, is it?
Yeah, well, especially on this trip, it's tough when it's so much of it, yeah.
First, we want to say to you, to anyone who has an interest in something to do with your physical body, or with anything for that matter, it isn't about what you do, it's how you feel as you are doing it. And you made some very strong statements as you said, I have a specific amount of body weight that I don't want, and I have had this for the majority of my adult life. And those are very powerful statements. What you did with that statement was tell it like it is, and then explain that it's like it is and that it's been like it is. In other words, you really sort of hunkered down on that vibration. Well, when you feel that way, that's where you're putting your boat in the water. But putting your boat in the water is one thing, and letting it go downstream toward the body weight that you want is one thing, and fighting the current is another thing. And everything that you said after that was a sort of fighting the current, a sort of explaining where you are and why you're where you are and how long you've been there and how hard it is to do otherwise. In other words, those were all upstream comments. And when you begin looking at your comments in terms of are they resistance-based or are they allowing-based, you're going to begin to discover that the action that you think you need to do in order to get the results that you want is far less important than the upstream-downstream vibration. If it were only about the food and the value of the food, then everyone who eats similarly would get similar results, and that isn't the case at all. And so the reason that metabolism varies from person to person, the reason that people get incredibly different results is not just about food in and energy out, it's about the alignment of the vibration, which is about the way you're thinking about it, you see. Now, we're going to approach this from different perspectives because we want you to feel all of it. When you want to weigh less than you do, and you associate what you're eating, what you're doing, the action that you're taking with the negative results that you're getting, and then you compound that by saying, I know these negative results, I know that this action produces negative results, but I seem powerless to stop doing this negative action. Can you feel how there's no way out of that? In other words, I'm doing this thing that I know I shouldn't do, but I can't stop doing it. I want to stop doing it, but I can't stop doing it. And so in doing it, I'm determined, I'm destined to get these negative results. So you've just got to start reworking those statements. You've got to begin saying it in a way that allows you to flow downstream. Now, we acknowledge that if you believe that a certain kind of food or amount of food will continue the negative results, and you continue that behavior, then you must get those same results. It's just law. If you believe or expect something, it must be that way, because your belief is a vibration that's present much of the time, and law of attraction is working all the time on that negative expectation, so that's just the way it has to be. So people will say, I want to do this mentally. I want to change the way I'm approaching this. And we say, we want you to too. But in the meantime, it is very helpful to say, for now, I'm going to do what I think I need to do because I want to get the results I want to get. So I don't mind doing what I think I need to do. And over time, what I think I need to do will morph and change. So feel the difference in that. You're putting your boat in the water at 70 pounds overweight by your standards. You're putting your boat in the water there. And then you're turning it downstream by saying, there are things I know I could do to get results that I don't really want to do, but I'm willing to do them because I want the results. Now that's a downstream statement. When you say, there are things I should do that I can't do, that's an upstream statement. Some people want to say, well, which is it, Abraham? Is this a vibrational game or is this an action game? Should he be working out? Should he be curtailing his volume of food or his type of food? And we say, you should do anything that makes you feel better when you do it. So what we've noticed with so many of you is that even though you may be eating something that you know you shouldn't eat, and you said in your words just now, it compels me, I think I want it, and we say, it's a really rare one of you that believes you shouldn't eat something and eats it anyway and feels good while you do it. In other words, what you're doing, you're subverting your emotional pleasure with your very insignificant taste bud pleasure. And almost before it passes over your tongue and down your gullet, or whatever it is, we've been talking to a lot of birds lately. The pleasure part is over and the discomfort part begins. And so what we really want you to begin acknowledging is that you want emotional pleasure from this food. And emotional pleasure, believe it or not, emotional pleasure means keeping your promise to yourself. So then sometimes we feel a little resistance coming in, a little resentment as you say, well, I do want to keep my promise to myself, but under these conditions it is more difficult. And what you literally have to do is just give yourself enough benefit of the doubt in the moment that you find a way to get downstream. So now we're just going to offer one really big, bold statement. And if you can hear this and apply this, you will get the results you want with screamingly easily effort. I'm only going to eat when I'm having downstream thoughts.
Okay.
I'm only going to eat when I'm having downstream thoughts. So somebody puts something in front of you that is gooey and succulent and dripping with things you think you shouldn't eat. And the other day, Esther had it in her mouth before she knew she had it in her mouth. She said, my God, did you see that? I said, I'm not going to eat that. It was like her arms were out of control. I'm only going to eat when I'm having downstream thoughts. So behold it, appreciate it, acknowledge the beauty of it, devour it sort of mentally in your mind. Think about whoever created it. Think about how good it might taste. In other words, think about it and make sure that you're having downstream thoughts about it. And it is our promise to you that if you are having downstream thoughts and then you are ingesting it, that your physical apparatus is now prepared to give you the results that you seek anyway. Most people, you all included, are mostly eating while having upstream thoughts. It either isn't exactly what you want, it isn't cooked exactly the way you want it to be cooked, it ought to be better under these conditions, or there's something wrong with it, or I wonder what they've put in it, or I wish I had more control of it, or I wonder how many of this or that or the other that has in it, and on it goes. Downstream thoughts, it really is that simple. and then it's up to you to find them. And a downstream thought for you is not necessarily the downstream thought that it would be for someone else. All you have to do is find relief within yourself. And as you make that decision, sometimes your action will be easily, in other words, you might say, I can't find a downstream thought about you, so never mind. But the downstream thought is going to become such a predominant desire within you. And when it is, then not only relative to this subject, but every other subject, in relationship to people, in relationship to experiences, in relationship to your work environment, in relationship to everything. But start with that one. That one will be the easiest. We promise you, you will have immediate results.
Wonderful.
And in time, people will say, what is it that you do? Esther watched a friend a while back. They were at an Indian restaurant, and the food was amazing. They were amazed at the depth of talent and flavors that were presented to them in dish after dish. And Esther watched this beautiful woman eat all of her food, order another plate, and then finish almost everyone else's meal. And then she ordered dessert. And Esther said, I'm never going to have another meal with you. How is it that you do this? And the woman said, food is my friend. She always was downstream. She befriended everything she ate, and it treated her well.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it is.